The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. Jesus and his disciples left from there and began a journey through Galilee, but he did not wish anyone to know about it. He was teaching his disciples and telling them, "The Son of Man is to be handed over to men, and they will kill him. And 3 days after his death, the Son of Man will rise." But they did not understand the saying, and they were afraid to question him. They came to Capernaum, and once inside the house, he began to ask them, "What were you arguing about along the way?" But they remained silent. They had been discussing among themselves on the way who was the greatest. Then he sat down, called the 12, and said to them, "If anyone wishes to be first, he shall be the last of all and the servant of all." Taking a child, he placed it in their midst, and putting his arms around it, he said to them, "Whoever receives one child such as this in my name receives me. And whoever receives me receives not just me, but the one who sent me." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
What are you passionate about? What gets you excited or worked up or focused? What are you passionate about? We hear about the passions in the second reading, ordered rightly. What were the disciples, the apostles, passionate about that we hear in the gospel today? So they were passionate about, they were focused on who is the greatest. Why were they focused on who is the greatest? Because Jesus, for the second time in the Gospel of Mark, says that he's going to die. He's going to suffer and rise again. They don't know what that means, but they start arguing and saying, well, who's going to take his place? Who's going to have authority when Jesus leaves? And so Jesus has to teach them. I think he still has to teach us today, right, in our society, what to focus on rightly in our world. We have all different debates on who is the greatest, who's the best. Even in sports, right? We have the debate, who is the GOAT, which stands for greatest of all time. Who's the GOAT? So, for example, in NBA basketball history, who is the greatest in NBA basketball of all time? Exactly. Dr. J. All right. And good, okay. So for baseball, who is the greatest of all time? Yes, I think I heard Bryce Harper. Yes, from the Phillies. Hockey, who's the greatest of all time? The Broad Street Bullies, right? Okay, no, don't be bullies. Okay, but NFL, who's the greatest of all time? Okay, Walter Payton. Okay, I'll give that to you. It's really Tom Brady, but whatever. Okay, so, we have all these debates and different opinions on who's the greatest of all time. Whether it be maybe in who's the greatest president, who is the greatest musician, singer. How about who's the greatest voice of all time? The greatest voice. I'll propose James Earl Jones, who died just over a week ago, and may his soul rest in peace. You know that he's Catholic. He converted when he was in the military. And many memorable roles in TV and movie, but especially for roles of father. Now, it's true, as Darth Vader, a little complicated father there. And so not the best, kind of some anger issues, but he ended well. But my favorite father role for James Earl Jones would be Mufasa, and so I wanted to do audio, but because we're live stream, probably can't do that. So, but here are the quote. Just a quote's going to come, right? Just a quote is going to come if I hit on it, right? Okay, good. So, he's talking to his son after he gave his life for his son, and his son has gone away and has strayed. So you have forgotten me. You have forgotten who you have. Okay, let's go back to the first one. Let me still get that. I'm getting there. First one. Let's go back there. You have forgotten who you are, and so forgotten me. Look inside yourself, Simba. You are more than what you have become. And now we go to the second one. The one right. Remember who you are. You are my son. At times we forget who we are. We forget who we are when we're focused on who's the greatest. When we're focused on how can I get more money, or my identity is when I get a promotion, my identity is if I get more likes, more friends, more stuff on the social media. We forget who we are when we turn to the ways of the world. Our primary identity, what is our primary identity? That we are sons and daughters of God. And we should hear our Father saying to us, you are my son, you are my daughter. So in order to teach his apostles this important lesson, he puts a child in their midst, and he embraces the child. Why a child? Children back then, unlike today children have more rights and more rights in today's society. But back then, they had no rights. They were like the lowest of the low. They had no rights. So he chooses to bring a child into his midst and say, you must be like this child and accept this child. Be childlike with God, not childish, but childlike, totally dependent upon God, trusting God, not trusting in your own ability, not trusting in your own stuff, trusting God first. By raise of hands, how many of you wear glasses or contacts? Okay, most of you. I do contacts since 8th grade. Here's my challenge for you the next few days, weeks. When you get up in the morning, you put on your glasses or your contacts. In order to see clearly, say a little prayer or bring to mind, say, Jesus, help me to see clearly today. Help me to see you today. Just make it brief. But think about Jesus as you put on your glasses or your contacts and say a little prayer. Jesus, help me to see you. Help me to see what is right. One of the reasons why we do Alpha here at St. Patrick's is that it's a certain lens that we see Jesus in others. That we're actually serving others when we do this, because we're meeting people where they're at, and it's a beautiful way to do that with a meal, with a little video and discussion. And we found this video that was recently done in the past few years, and I think this gives a good perspective from a Catholic perspective on why we do Alpha here at St. Patrick's, which will be starting this Tuesday. And the sound will be coming. Let's start that again. Maybe we can start it again. Okay, that's fine.
For more than 3 decades now, the popes have been calling the whole church to a new evangelization. And yet, if you look at the actual state of the church in many parts of the world, you don't see the numbers of practicing Catholics growing. You see quite the opposite. And you see particularly that we're having a hard time reaching this current young generation. We have centuries of experience in catechesis, but we have kind of lost the art of evangelizing those who don't know the gospel at all. So Alpha is like retraining us in how to do that, And it does it in such an attractive way that really speaks to people's lives.
Alpha offers a very human, non-threatening door for everyone to enter.
Each Alpha Night consists of 3 elements. There is the food, which is the table fellowship. We can come together and have a great meal. Secondly, there is a presentation of some simple and clear element of the gospel message. And third is discussion. So after the presentation of this gospel message, we ask our guests, so what do you think? And we get to listen and engage in dialogue and discussion in a completely non-confrontational, but incredibly compelling and loving and challenging, but inviting way. This is legitimately and genuinely fun.
I think Alpha works, especially for our Catholic parishes, in encouraging a culture of invitation, in bringing people together in community for diverse experience, and giving them a taste of the gospel. I think Alpha for the Catholic Church is more than just a program. I think it's a catalyst for church renewal.
What's so exciting about Alpha is the love that you see begin to grow in the communities.
On our team at the parish, we have this saying, Alpha as a course is fantastic, Alpha as a culture is phenomenal. And that's really when the essence of what makes Alpha works, when it's absorbed into your church, it changes everything of who you are as an invitational and as a missionary church, raising up leaders, equipping people, and mobilizing your whole church for mission. When we've run Alpha in the parish, we see people change. People come to know Jesus, they experience the Holy Spirit in a new way, and they form amazing friendships that go on to flourish within the church. And ultimately, when people are changed, the church is changed.
When the culture is changed, the church is changed. So that's, there's no perfect program out there, but that's why we choose Alpha over the years, to be welcoming, to engage people over a meal and fellowship. And then they're more open. Once they have relationships with others, then they're more open to, now, what do you believe about Jesus again, and why do you teach us? But first, relationship. First, engage them where they're at. Here's a question for all of us to think about. In the past year, how many people have we brought to Jesus? In the past year, how many people have we brought to Jesus individually? Because really, after our relationship with Jesus, that's the most important thing, that we bring people to Jesus. This is a simple way to do it. This is the most important thing we can do. Not about who's the greatest, not about even politics, although it's important, but that's not the main thing. The main thing is Jesus and His kingdom. We're sons and daughters of His kingdom first. Everything else flows from that. If we get that right, then we're going to be more peaceable, more gentle, more merciful, to live in the truth. But only if we have the eyes, only if we see through the lens of Jesus. So I encourage all of us, when we put those glasses on or contacts, or if we don't have either, just envision in the morning, Jesus, help me to see. Help me to see as you see. And help me to be that servant that you're calling me to be to others.